I'm now going to continue my video series on memory with the story of Jello. Okay, how are we going to remember all the details of this particular story? Well, let's first imagine that there is a copper pot, and it tried to invent Jello, but it didn't succeed. Now, who did succeed? It was a patient pearl white carpenter. So just imagine a carpenter, and he's in a pearl white outfit. Okay? And he lived in a town called Leroy. Let's imagine that this pearl white carpenter was best friends with a guy named Leroy, who happened to be the mayor of a town that was named after him. Okay. Now, it was this carpenter that succeeded in creating Jello. Okay, he basically created Jello. Alright? Now, he had a wife. Now, the only way we're going to remember her name is to picture that he managed to invent this Jello in the month of May. That's the best way to remember that, okay? Remember, in these particular videos, we're not dealing with exact details here. We're just trying to remember certain details. Alright? So, this guy had a tough time marketing his product, so he found an orator named Frank. Now, Frank owned wood that was covered in warts. He created an egg which was covered in compost, which he claimed could kill lice. Okay? Now, Frank bought the entire Jello business from this pearl white carpenter. Okay? But in order to buy this business, Frank needed a witness. And who was this witness? Well, Frank hired a bishop named Everett. Okay? So, what was the name of the guy who oversaw the manufacturing of Jello? Well, his name was Andrew. And he not only manufactured Jello, but he manufactured nickels. Okay, and that's how we're going to remember this. Alright, now he didn't really manufacture nickels, but that's how we're going to remember it. Alright? Now, so who advertised the Jello? Well, the main person who advertised the Jello, his name was William. He hummed the music of the composer whose name is Johann Sebastian Bach. Okay? So he's humming tunes that were created by the composer Johann Sebastian Bach. Okay? So what did this guy William do? Well, what he did was he slid cookbooks, Jello cookbooks, under the doors. Okay? Because they always had that little bit of space between the door and the actual floor. He slid the books between that little floor space, okay, of every potential customer. The people got a hold of the cookbooks, they looked at them, they thought they were interesting, they went out and bought the Jello, and the rest is basically history. Alright. And that's how we're going to remember all of those wonderful details. Alright. I will tell you more in a future video, so I would like for you to stay tuned.